Welcome back to Awesome Games Done Quick. We have some donations. Rad gives $50. Loving all these runs. Thanks to everyone for providing so much entertainment for a good cause. Kemba Waka Flocka gives $10. I wish everyone was this natural during runs. Everyone watching in Kate's stream says they love you. Anonymous, $50 donation, says, good luck to all the speedrunners. Enjoying the stream like every year. Let's hope for more progress on beating cancer. So coming up next is Werster with Pokemon, and at this point it looks like Pokemon Blue is winning by $132.15. Are we going to cut that off? Z. It sounds like all Pokemon Red, Blue, or I guess at this point Pokemon Blue, donation incentives are cut off. You can still donate for the glitched run of Pokemon Green after this. That is still quite a ways away from its goal of $2,000, so get those bids in. We have some donations. We have $370 from Viridian. Meant to do this donation a while ago. $10 per death in Dram's Kaizo Mario run and $25 per crash in Albino's Morrowind run. Been having a blast. Hopefully the last 2 days are as great as the first 5 have been. Ostendo gives $30 and says, awesome games, awesome cause, thank you all. Pepe Kukmau gives $20 and says, lost some dear friends to cancer recently, so it's great to see you take a stand against it. Loved that great Jack 2 speedrun. Let's kick cancer's butt. Greetings from France. And save the frames, not the animals. Dwayne Mash Sheck gives $25. Die, cancer. Die! He was very insistent.
There's no sound on the TV. I think I can kind of hear it.
Any percent no save corruption. Save corruption.
Yeah.
There we go.
There it is.
Okay, so before this run starts, I just want to say there's an exceptionally lot amount of stuff that I have to commentate on this run. Towards the end of it, I might have to start speaking really, really fast to try and get through everything that I want to. But alright, we'll see how we go.
Do you guys want a roll call before you get really started here?
Yeah, alright, so I'm Werster.
I'm Shenanigans.
Alright. So I'm ready to go. Go the countdown? This dude. 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so this is any percent no save corruption, and what that means is exactly what it sounds like. This is beat the game as fast as possible without using save corruption. So the reason this category came about is because if you use save corruption, so you're doing the any percent route, you beat the game in less than a minute, and the game timer doesn't actually change from 0, and that's actually been shown off at 2 GDQs before. So people wanted to use something that's a little bit more competitive, that still used a lot of the game breaking glitches to absolutely destroy this game. So it's had a fairly long history. It started back in 2007 with Thomas's run that clocked in at 1 hour and 26 minutes. It used old ass walk through walls from the Safari Zone. A few years after that, it actually took a long time, MBM came along and he did his no badges run that used a few more of the updated glitches, and it came in at around 50 minutes, I believe. After that, a few of the Pokemon crew picked it up for races, and they got times of around 46, 47 minutes. After that, I did one run that required a 1 in 32 chance of getting an encounter on a very specific tile to use Nidoking throughout the whole run, and that got around 42 minutes. But after that, a few of the newer crew, like the Bomb Stew and Sankey and Shenanigans, came up with pretty much the route you're going to be seeing here, which will get times between around 20 and 25 minutes. And it's because of that new route that I'm picking Bulbasaur. So, the reason I'm picking Bulbasaur for this, it's... Oh, oh no, that was right. Jesus Christ. The reason I'm picking Bulbasaur is there's two different stipulations for this glitch. I need to have a move with 40 PP, and Squirtle has Tail Whip instead of Growl, which only has 30 PP, so he's out. And I also need 3 moves before level 8, and Charmander doesn't learn Ember until level 9, so he's also out. This first rival fight is actually incredibly dangerous, even though I picked up the safety potion, because Bulbasaur, I mean, grass is just complete crap. I mean, I say that as someone who actually picked Bulbasaur as their first Pokemon. He is rubbish, just complete garbage. It's not the end of the world if I lose this fight, but I really want the experience. It's gonna take a long way back. See, look at this. Jesus, I'm only halfway through.
No growls, though.
At least I got scratches at the start, so it's going pretty quickly. Like, if he gives me some growls at the end, this shouldn't be too bad. Nice, I got the fail. So, in Generation 1 and 2, there's actually a 1 in 4 chance that status moves used by the AI will fail. I have no idea why they do that. Like, Thunder Wave can miss if used by the AI as well, which is pretty bizarre. Yeah, that fight was actually pretty nice. That's a really good start. So, okay, on Route 1, I mentioned this a little bit before. I'm going to be killing a few things because I want to be able to get Leech Seed. And I get Leech Seed at level 7. Now, while I need to be level 8 after Weedle, I have to get level 7 before Weedle, because it's possible that from the experience from that, I would skip over level 7. And in Generation 1, I didn't get the potion. In Generation 1, if you skip over a level where you learn a move, you don't get the move. So I need to make sure I get there prior. Yeah, this I'm just going to tackle. I also need to manage my PP because I'm going to be using that to perform the glitch later. So I need my tackle PP to read 16, and I need my growl PP to read 36. So the fact that I have to kill these isn't really a huge deal because I got to get my PP down anyway. One little thing I did want to mention also is for the trainer names that we had donation incentives for. There was actually a really hotly contested one for the trainer name, which was Whooper Z ended up winning. And that's actually an emote from an extension for Twitch called FrancoFacie that's been worked on by Dan Salvato and now Sir Stendek. And the amount of work they've put into that, like for, I mean, a lot of people, but for the speedrunning community overall has been fantastic. And specifically for this marathon, they've had integration for AGDQ where you can like follow runners just from the Games Done Quick page, which I think is really nice. And also that you can use the individual runners' emotes in the marathon run as well. I mean, the amount of thankless work they've done is really nice, so I think they just deserved a bit of a shout out for that. The other thing was, going back to the actual run that we're doing here, I didn't have a donation incentive for the rival because I wanted to name my rival something really specific. I told you it does 2 damage after a growl. I wanted to do something really specific for the very last glitch in this run, and it's actually based off what your rival's name is. So I had to name him the very specific MN character and then a space to get that to work later on. Okay, nice. Got to level 7. That was actually a really clean Route 1. If you want to talk, this is the only opportunity you've got until I leave Oak's lab.
Yeah, if you have any donations, this is the only time you'll have time.
Okay, really quickly, High Breakers. Let's see, Anonymous. No, High Score Breaker Joe gives $10. It's time to destroy cancer. You have my support. And FSVGM777 gives $750. Hello, this is FSVGM777 from Luxembourg. Really enjoying the run so far. Thank you, SDA and SRL, for hosting this amazing marathon. Keep it up.
Alright, so really quickly there, I actually, wow. I talked to Oak from above there instead of below. And so the reason I did that is because your rival actually walks at like half the speed that you do in this game. So what that means is if you're, you can actually walk more tiles just to manipulate the camera to be higher up, so that he ends up walking less tiles, and as long as the time it takes for you is less than double the tiles that he ends up moving, it ends up saving a bit of time. So I move an extra 7 tiles to talk to Oak from above, and he walks 4 less tiles, and that ends up saving time. Alright, so coming up to Viridian Forest now, there's something that I wanted to touch on that we found just like 10 months ago, and it's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in like any game. So in every single tile, it's actually made up of 4 tiny little squares. And so the way the game determines what tile is what is based off one of those squares. So if you have a look at the grass that I'm going to walk past here, you'll see there's like 4 tiny little squares that make up each tile, and all of them are made up of grass. However, in Viridian Forest, what they do is they make some of those squares flowers, just to make it really pretty. But they never put any of the flowers in the bottom left corner. And in the Japanese version of the game, they use the bottom left corner to determine what tile is what. However, when these were internationalized, for absolutely no discernible reason, they used the bottom right tile to determine what is a tile and what isn't. So all of these grass patches here that I'm walking through right now do not have encounters, because they've got a flower in the bottom right square of the tile. So I walked through 80 grass patches here, only 26 of them can give encounters, and they're pretty much all at the end. It's ridiculous. Of course I get one. That's fine, I'm going to use a little more PP here. I'm going to go down to 25 tackles, because that'll give me 2 spares for the Weedle, because I need 7 to take him out. And I'll use a Growl as well. Actually, no, I've got good defense, I'm going to use 2 Growls, because using him against Metapod is faster because he just uses Harden, and he also can't do any damage, so I don't have to worry about dying. Okay. I'm gonna fight this Weedle. This isn't too bad of a fight. Bulbasaur actually can't get poisoned because he is poison type, so that's pretty nice. This is also going to say that it's not very effective, even though it's doing neutral damage, because Generation 1 is really cool. And it's like, oh, it's super effective, but then it's like, oh, it's not very effective. And so it calculates the damage correctly to give neutral, but the text overrides itself and says, oh yeah, not very effective. I really do not want to miss too many tackles, because I need to have 16 at the end. If I have exactly 16, that'll be perfect, so that's probably one more miss. Yeah, okay, a critical will do 5, so I'm gonna potion if I fall to 4, because I just really don't want to die. I've got 2, so that's fine. I just need to keep 1 later as an extra item.
The 039 critical.
Okay, so coming up after this is gonna be Rock Skip, which is a moderately well-known glitch, I would say. Basically... Told you all I was gonna do 5, settle down. Look at that red bar skip. I should potion though, because I still need to get hit by things. So yeah, it overrides a very, very basic oversight where when you enter the tutorial for the catching, oh no, not for the catching, what am I talking about? Oh, yeah, I did switch, okay. For when the bug catcher shows you to Brock's gym, if you enter that tutorial from the bottom, it doesn't disable all of your controls. It disables the D-pad, but you can still use A, B, start, and select. So what that means is, if I set the cursor to save before I go there, I can bring up the menu and save, and then upon doing a reset, if I hold right, I can just get past him, because he doesn't start his dialogue straight away. And on the next tile, I can just go all the way to pewter, and that's where the fun begins. So basically, this guy actually has different patterns on what he does based on where you are. So when he tries to start the tutorial, he's actually looking for your position on the map, right? And so he can figure out what to do. Now, obviously, you're never meant to talk to this guy from the right, because he's meant to stop you before you get there. So if you talk to him from the right, the game pretty much freezes, right? But because I've lined up my PP to have the bytes 10 and then 24 after each other, that corresponds to my position on the map. So the game actually figures out where I am, so I'm just loading those right now, so it actually figures out what to do. And that'll make it so I can then assume control, and now I can just walk through walls. Yeah, pretty excellent. It's pretty creepy that that guy just keeps following you, though. It's really bizarre. So at this stage, I can go anywhere in the overworld, but that doesn't mean I can go anywhere, because there is still out of bounds, so I can't just like walk to the Hall of Fame or anything. I could go to the Elite Four, but I don't really trust my level 8 Bulbasaur's ability to take down the Elite Four. I could try and catch something, but that's going to be slower than the alternative. And the alternative that I'm going to use to beat the game is to go shopping. So, first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the flag for the Saffron Center, so that if I die, I'm going to go back to Saffron. So I'm just going to be pretty much using that as my main hub for the rest of the run. And then I'm going to head off to Celadon and do my shopping. Very luckily, and there was a part in the early routing of this where we didn't know this, you actually go back to Celadon when trying to go past the guards. It was assumed that they would just send you back the way you came, but because they assume you can't come from Saffron, they just send you back out, and you just go to Celadon, which is nice because that's where I'm headed. So when I'm there, I'm going to be buying a coin case, and I'm going to use that to buy Abra. So notably as well, there was a very hotly contested bid war for whether we were going to run red or blue. Abra is the only difference between red and blue for this run. It takes a bit more time in red to get the Abra because it costs 60 more coins. However, the Abra is a higher level, which means he can tank a few more hits, which means it's going to be a bit riskier in this run to try and get a pretty clutch strat at the end, but it'll be even better if I do get it in this run, I suppose. Okay, and then after that I'm going to be heading off to Celadon Mart, and I'm going to be buying the absolute most broken item in the game, which is the fresh water. While I'm there, I'm also going to be picking up a few more items, because I need 6+ items in this run to activate another glitch. So I'm going to pick up a few Great Balls, just to try and get that nifty time save. I'm also going to be picking up Counter, just because it's fast and free, and then I'm going to be getting an X Defend, because I need an item to go to a value of 255, and what I'm going to be doing is increasing it twice by 128, and I want to use it twice in battle. So an X item works the best, and... hang on, just 1 second. Okay. An X Defend works best because it increases Abra's defense so he can tank a few more hits. Okay, and so after I buy these items, sorry, I have to go ahead of myself, I'm going to be teleporting back to Saffron, very useful from Abra again, and then I'm going to be activating a moderately well-known glitch, I would say, called Trainer Fly. So the way Trainer Fly works is, whenever an NPC enters the screen on the edge of the screen, they're actually facing south for 2 frames. So if you have a trainer that's facing north, east, or west and has max vision, you can actually open up the menu before they actually see you, and from that position you can then fly, dig, escape, or teleport out and activate the state that we call Trainer Fly, where you will escape and then they'll see you. And basically what that does is the game thinks you're in a battle, so you can't interact with any overworld entities. So if I wanted to enter a battle with a trainer, I would have to have them walk towards me. I also can't open the main menu, but that battle is stored in the area where I triggered Trainer Fly. So what's going to happen after that is I'm going to then use that to encounter arbitrary Pokemon or trainers, which is more commonly known as the Mew glitch, simply because it's the most convenient way to get Mew in this game. So the way it works is, by battling another trainer, that's going to override the currently in battle flag, but the battle is still going to be stored. I'm just depositing my fresh water here so I can get out of here without using it. That battle is still going to be stored on Route 6, which is where I'm going to go to activate Trainer Fly. But it's going to be overridden by the encounters that are in between when I've activated Trainer Fly. So what that means basically is a battle's going to show up, but it's going to be determined specifically by the special of the last Pokemon that I encountered in between. And so it's not quite as simple as 1 special gives Bulbasaur and 151 special gives Mew. It jumps around a bit. So 28 gives Blastoise, 29 gives Pinsir, 30 gives Tangela, and I'm going up to the Saffron Fighting Dojo up here, and it's got a Machop that has 31 special, and that happens to get Missing No. Now, Missing No is quite possibly the most well-known bug in Pokemon games. It is what shows up when you don't have a Pokemon for the address that was issued. And perhaps the most useful property of Missing No is that it has the Pokedex number 000, because when I try to, when I encounter the Missing No, the game wants to set the scene flag for seeing a Pokemon that I haven't seen before, but because it's 000, there is no scene flag it can set. But what it actually goes to is it sets the highest bit for the 6th item in my inventory slot to 1, which basically increases it by 128, assuming I don't already have 128 or more of that item, because the max is 255. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use 2 X Defends, and then I'm going to try and catch this Missing No to then do the same thing for the catch flag so I can get 255 X Defends. Now, Missing No actually has a catch rate of 29, which is even worse than Chansey. So catching this is extremely difficult. It has a chance of like a 7% chance or so of working, but we'll give it a go anyway. And then once I get... oh, okay, this is going to be my last chance, because this will kill. If I get 255 of an item, that's got some really, really nice properties. This isn't a big deal because I'm just going to encounter another Missing No. It really doesn't take too much time at all. Yeah, 255 has a really, really interesting property that it just so happens to correspond with the exact address that the cancel marker has in the item inventory. So basically what happens is when you get rid of an item, it reduces the whole bag quantity by 1, and it shifts all the bytes by 2 until it finds the cancel marker. But because I'm going to have 255 of an item, it's going to essentially do that twice. So what's going to happen is the 255x defends are going to shift up and pretty much duplicate themselves. Dude, the guy's still there.
It's if you die, he doesn't go away.
Alright. So, where was I? Yeah, the 255x defends are going to duplicate on top of themselves, but I'm still going to get my item count to decrease by 1. So I can then just repeat the 255x defends, just keep deleting them and duplicating them at the same time, so that essentially I will have 0 items. But my items won't actually be gone. I will still have the items that I have in my inventory. So now I'm going to withdraw the fresh water that I deposited, and with 0 items, including the fresh water pretty much, once I go down to the guard, he's going to take my fresh water, and because I don't have to select the fresh water, that'll still work, and then I will have -1 items. This will then underflow, because the game doesn't know how to have -1 items. It'll then underflow to 255 items, and that'll grant me access, obviously, to below the 20th item, and that's where I can pretty much access memory addresses that I'm not supposed to, and I can use my item inventory as a really simplistic hex editor to complete the game pretty much any way I choose. So I'm gonna do that. Oh geez, I'm bad. Right now. So here it's gonna duplicate, and then I'm just gonna do this 5 times to get 0 items. 3, 4. So what I'm actually gonna do to get out of here is I'm gonna press A right here, and that was actually hitting cancel because I have no items, it thinks. So what I'm going to do is, because I named my rival something really specific, I'm going to have 127 of an item. It's going to be TM26, and I'm going to move that down to where I've got 17 Master Balls, and that's going to allow me to edit the map pointer, and I'm going to now edit this to 118. So that's basically changing where I end up on the map, and I just changed it to the Hall of Fame. That's it. That's Red Blue No Save Corruption.
Time's coming up once the once it goes black to the credits.
Yeah, it whites out actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad run overall.
Yeah.
Time. Alright. I really don't care what the time was.
Yeah. Probably like a 21 something.
Yeah, that's good.
Pretty
That's
good.
actually really good. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially for this route, there's a slightly faster route you can do that involves Bulbasaur exactly having 16 special, and then catching a Pidgey that has to have like exactly 15 or 17 health.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid.
Yeah, there's 8 different random hit point values that the Pidgey can have, and then the Bulbasaur has to have exactly 16 special, which is only a 50% chance. So it's a lot harder to go for that in marathons, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few more things that I didn't touch on during the run that I kind of wanted to, you just don't have time. That run's just glitches everywhere. Like throwing the Great Ball at Missing No. This game, the shake mechanic is actually way better than like any other game. Missing the Pokemon is just the game telling you you have between 0 and 10% chance of catching this. If I ever hit, I will catch it. And then it's like one shake is between 11 and 25, 2 is 25.50, and then the last one is 50.99. I kind of made those numbers up, but I think they're right.
Yeah.
Like the trainer not disappearing, we touched on that. Normally the trainer in Saffron that guards Mimic disappears, but because I died it didn't disappear, because he's actually considered a legendary Pokemon that generally disappears when I encounter the Missing No, which is really cool.
Yeah, some sprites can be removed, like the Snorlaxes and the legendary Pokemon, and because the rockets get removed after you beat the Silphco sequence, sometimes their sprites will disappear when you battle the Missing No. If you run away, his sprite will disappear. So his sprite won't be there now because he ran from the second missing now. But because he died to the first one, the sprite didn't disappear.
Yeah, that's Red Blue. I hope you guys enjoyed that run.
Nice job. Did Pokemon Green get met?
Yeah, so, no. We're at $922 out of 2,000, so,
Okay.
yeah. That run was just too quick. Thanks, Werster, for that awesome bit of whatever that was. Craziness. We got a mess of donations that came in during that run, of course, because it was ridiculous. We have $250 from Me Gots This. Hey, Shenanigans, when are you going to do the Super YOLO NSC %? So close to 18. We have $5 from Shy Ranger. You beat the game by shopping? Guess I better go to Humble Bundle. Humble Bundle is one of our sponsors. They have a Awesome Games Done Quick bundle on humblebundle.com. Pay what you want for up to 9 games, including a Twitch Turbo subscription, a subscription to XSplit Premium, and exclusive merchandise, all while supporting Prevent Cancer Foundation. That's humblebundle.com.